Good afternoon to our first webinar of the year. We can't even believe it that 25th of January, a month ago, 25th of December was Christmas Day. And we're not even a month into 2023, and I wonder how many of us are sticking to our New Year's resolutions. And as you can see there by the title, that is our topic today. What are your New Year's resolutions, especially around your finances? So unfortunately, only about 16% of us actually keep our resolutions. Quite interesting. So how many of us actually set goals? And that's even more frightening. So and those that do set goals, how many of us fail to reach them? So I know it's all doom and gloom. It sounds like it, but it's actually, there's some sort of a lighting to this cloud. So much of what we do, we set out to achieve, is affected by our financial situation. But for those of you who are facing debt repayments and struggling to make ends meet, investing and saving for your retirement might seem unattainable. So as I said, don't get depressed or despondent. It must be overwhelming as it seems. We owe it to ourselves and to our loved ones to plan for our financial futures responsibly, and that's the whole gist of today's presentation, just to give you some direction. And you can see also by the image here that I've chosen today is that it represents obviously vision. We're standing on top of the mountain. You can see further, and hopefully you'll see a path and the journey ahead. But as the saying goes, a goal without a plan is just a dream. So welcome people to our webinar today. Let me introduce myself. My name is Sean van den Berg. I'm an investment specialist here at PSG Wealth. My objective today is to discuss ways to set yourself up for success in the new year. Okay, so I hope that gives you a bit more motivation. So there's my, whoops, sorry, let me just take it out the way. Okay, there's my little agenda quickly for today. So our idea today is to obviously beginning of the year, it's a new year, it's a great time to think about our financial goals. Whether you're a fan of new resolutions or not, January just seems synonymous with the idea of fresh starts and new habits. And especially since January comes right after December, this is our holiday season, and obviously all the consumerism that went with it. It's also natural to feel that we need a bit of a financial reset right after our little December period. So my objective in this webinar, as I said, is to share some examples of financial goals that you might consider for your 2023 financial goals. And of course, everybody's personal finance journey is personal, and your goals should be personal too. And there's no law either that says that you need to start these goals in January or that they need to span the entire year. So let's get started. So what are the most common New Year's resolutions? And as you might guess, at this time of year, everybody looks ahead and we want to focus on self-care and having a plan and all those kind of stuff. But also, New Year's resolutions have a bad reputation, as I mentioned just now. They're often forgotten mere weeks into January. And you'll see this now that we talk about, we're now last week of January, most people have given up. So the idea here today is that, instead of setting unrealistic promises, and it's going to cause you some stress, the idea is to set goals for yourself that it's going to help you, achieve those goals. So we're there to help you, especially around your finances. So these are the most common resolutions, as you can imagine. I'm just highlighting some of them. Most of them are obviously around health and things like that. You can see there, living a healthier lifestyle, exercising more, stop smoking, stop drinking, improving yourself and your happiness levels, reading more. That is one of my goals. Advancing your career, save more money or spend less money, spend more time with family and friends. In other words, improve your relationships, travel more, and obviously learn a new skill or hobby. So those, as I say, are some of the more common New Year's resolutions. And despite our best intentions, once the glow of a fresh new year wears off, many people struggle to make good on those plans. Okay. According to a study published in the Journal of Clinical Psychology, only 46% of people who made New Year's resolutions were successful. That means over half who set a goal for the new year will fail. So that's quite interesting. So I personally don't set New Year's resolutions. I have goals all the time. But obviously, when I say New Year's resolutions, we'll touch on it just now. There's some things that I do um, uh, set for myself, and we'll touch on it more just now. So let's talk more about these stats. The stats don't lie. Especially New resolution stats don't lie. Every year, millions of people set New Year's resolutions, and many give up. As I said, just within the first week. I was interesting to read that most people quit on the second Friday of the month. That's according to a app I've also got on my phone called Strava. It's a running and cycling app. They actually call that second Friday of the year Quitters Day. I was amazed to read that. So at least I'm past that. I know I'm not a quitter. What I say, that's all saying, quitters never win and winners never quit. Okay. So interesting to note that 38% of adults set New Year's resolutions, and most of those people that set those resolutions are the young adults that form are the largest demographic group. And obviously, as I mentioned just now, the top three are all health related. 23% people quit in the first week, and only 35% or 36% make it past the first month. Only 9% keep their financial New Year's resolutions. So the odds are against you. Nah, not necessary. Okay. So there's a lot of reasons why I believe that a lot of people have, they're not very clear on their goals or their New Year's resolutions. So they lack clarity. I also believe people set unrealistic goals or resolutions. So they have high expectations. They lack accountability, and I think is one of the big things. The people that are successful have accountability partners. They share their goals with someone else, and obviously they have that support structure in place. Also, what's important, people that do fail don't track their goals, or they don't review their goals very often. And I think that's also important to do that. Lack of planning, obviously, the main underlying factor of all these things. And then I think a big thing also for a lot of people is that self-doubt. We need to get over that. So you need to understand deeply why you want to change, what you want to improve on, and things like that. What's your big motivation? Why is it necessary to change? That's what usually with me comes to resolutions, what I want to change, what I want to improve on. So the idea is to set specific long-term goals and obviously shorter-term goals also, as I said, realistic goals. So I went over this very, very quickly to get into more of the nitty-gritties. So let's talk about financial resolutions. And the reason why I'm using that word resolutions is if you look in the dictionary, what does a resolution mean? There's two definitions. Number one is a firm decision to do or not to do something. Okay, that's first of all, number one. And number two, this is I would say, is a character trait or a personality trait. It's a quality that you're being determined or resolute. Okay, so that's another way of looking at resolution. So, and obviously today's context, we're talking more about financial resolutions. So it all comes down to, I believe, consistency and dedication. Okay, so what are you going to resolve or decide today to improve around your finances? And I think one of the things that for me, and I want to give it to you, is to improve your financial literacy this year. And I know the last few webinars last year we were focusing a lot on it. So just quickly, again, a definition of financial literacy is the education and understanding of knowing how money is made, spent and saved, as well as the skills and ability to use financial resources to make decisions. These decisions include how to generate, invest, spend, and save money. And I think that it doesn't matter where you are. I think that will apply to all of us. Okay, so just to kick off, there's 5 things you need to consider before investing, and I'm amazed how many people don't consider this. Know your investment goal. All of us have investment goals, but we don't write them down, number one. So it's just the idea in the head, and that's where it disappears. So what is your investment goal or your investment objective? There are certain things that we want to buy during our lifetime, be it a house or car, you want to travel. Write those things down And secondly, we might have some goals like, or more common goals like savings for retirement, savings for children's education, having an emergency fund, and all these things we'll be talking about a bit later. And then very important, linked to your investment goal. What is your investment time frame? When do you want to achieve that goal? Okay, and also linked to that is your risk tolerance. If you're putting all your money in the share market and you can't sleep at night, that's not for you. When I say the share market is direct share investment. But the idea is that by taking more risk, you can tolerate, to give you sleepless nights if you don't have that kind of stuff. So you need to understand what is your risk tolerance, your risk appetite, all those kind of things. And also very linked to that, very closely linked to that is diversifying your risk is asset allocation. There are different asset classes that perform well at different times. If we can talk about cash and money market funds and having bonds, having direct shares or ETFs or unit trusts. You can go so far as to look at physical property and even listed property. Okay, so all those things will come into the mix as such. That's why we talk about the asset allocation. But if you have different asset classes in your portfolio, to ensure that your investments are well cushioned all the time. Okay, so that is what I mean by asset allocation. So this is also part of what you want to be focused on this year, is learning more about these things. And then also lastly, know which investment product to invest in. Yeah, at P.A.S.H, we got over, I think it was about 13 products I was looking at yesterday. So we talk about a voluntary investment plan, a VIP, which are the underlying investments into unit trusts. So that's great for savings, wealth creation. It's great for building up a emergency fund. But also you're looking at things like a retirement annuity, looking at things like living annuities. That's after you've retired now and you want to get an income from that. We're looking at preservation funds. We look at a tax-free investment plan. And right now we are in tax season. We look at endowments. These are all tax-efficient vehicles that you need to have in your portfolio or in your investment arsenal as such. We look at things like direct share investment. That's where once you've got all that in place, now we start looking at a bit more higher risk investments, and that's where you start building a local share portfolio. You can look at building an offshore portfolio. You can go so far as to take some of your money and diversify more into trading or derivatives. Those of you with more cowboy have more higher risk appetite. Things like trading CFDs, trading single stock futures, currency futures, index futures, etc. But there's pros and cons of all these different investment products and trading products. You need to understand it. And right at the end of my presentation, I'll have links to what we call the key information document. Explains to you who's the product ideally for, and as I say, the pros and cons around that. So that's number one. What are the 5 things to consider before investing? Then we get to something I just recently learned more about, and I thought that's quite interesting, and I brought it up now. Just very quickly, your financial resolutions around, as I say, financial literacy. I want to ask you, what is your cash limit? What is your cash situation right now? And cash, what I mean by this is, K stands for knowledge. What is your knowledge around your investments and things like that? So first of all, what are the 3 goals of an investor? I would say safety, income, and capital gains are the 3 main objectives for any investor. And obviously every investor must pick up an appropriate mix of those factors. And it comes again back to what I was talking about knowledge. When I say safety, it's the quality of your investment also. What is considered a good trader, for example, talking about derivatives just now, a good trader always knows the risk reward ratio of every trade. A good trader cuts their losses instead of hoping that the trade will turn around. I always say hope is not a trading strategy. A good trader allows the profits to run until the exit signals based on the trading strategy is triggered. So all those kind of things you need to know. I always say, it's not use just trading. You want to learn to become a consistently profitable trader. Okay, so this presentation also about trading. I want to have some more trading webinars later in the year, but today we're talking more about investments. So when I talk about knowledge, what knowledge do I need to learn about investing, about my investments? Never invest in something you do not know, fully understand. Understand the risk, understand diversification, understand asset allocation, previous webinars, we spoke about the magic of compounding. How do you get that to work for you? Understand how to minimize the costs. You know, going to investment products that have low fees. Those things are important. Also, I think what's important, especially when it talks about knowledge, you know, just learn classic investment strategies. What is active investor when it comes to unit trust? What's a passive investor? What's a value investor compared to a growth investor? What's income-oriented investment compared to gains investing? Okay, those are the kind of things you want to learn. Talk about action. You know, what action should you consider when managing your investments? You know, are you going to be buying and selling all the time? No, not as an investor. Your goal is more longer term. But you should be more disciplined. You should be invest, as I said just now, in something you understand. Don't invest money that you would need straight away, obviously into investments that are not very liquid. Don't get caught up in the hype, and I think that's the biggest problem for a lot of people. You know, our emotions get to us. You know, greed and fear are the biggest enemy in the market. So just don't get caught up in the hype. If you're a long-term investor, think long-term. Okay. So how do you think long-term? By managing risk, by diversifying your investment. Okay. Now, it is also, as I say, to keep your eyes open. You know, to track and monitor your investments. I like to read my quarterly statements from K.A.S.H. I read the fund reports. I read the fund fact sheets, commentary on the performances and things like that. I use a tool called the Fund to AZ tool. I always like to compare performances, 5 different companies or funds, compare the performances, compare the risk, compare the fees, and then fine tune that situation all the time. So control is all key. You know, that's what it's all about. You know, you want to benchmark your performance and see how you're going from there. Talk about skills. A person needs to be able to have a good judgment, you know, be able to do research and analytical skills. And I know a lot of us, especially we're more focused on the unit trust side. We're not so much building up a share portfolio, but still, you know, we need to learn a bit more. I use a lot of LinkedIn, and there's a facility on LinkedIn called LinkedIn Learning. There are a lot of courses available, investment training courses available there. There's courses available on Udemy. You go Google Investopedia, you'll find some information there also. The bottom line, as I said just now, is to read. You know, it's never enough. You know, read books, read. A lot of people watch videos nowadays, but I like reading. I read a lot, especially when it comes to the business day, financial mail. I try and follow what's happening with the economy and try and anticipate what the trends and where the market's going and things like that, where the opportunities are. So that's all part of the skills. Habits, you know, sorry, just one thing also to talk about skills. The whole idea here is also to enjoy the call it the investment process, the process of creating a portfolio. So we talk about you can have a portfolio just of unit trusts. You know, you want to identify the new investments, the new funds as such, and then go do due diligence, your research, go look at the fund fact sheets, as I say, compare the different funds, and then go select those funds that you're interested in or buy the investment. And all you're doing then is this active ownership and then doing performance evaluation and things like that all the time. And then, you know, the step 5 down the line, you might say, okay, now it's, you know, things are changing. Maybe it's time to exit the investment or sell the investment. But you'll have to have certain rules, especially when it comes to a share portfolio. When would I sell a share? I don't sell the share because I need the money. No, you sell the share because something has changed in your investment criteria. Okay, so we talk about habits, and yeah, we talk about more the behavior as an investor, your behavior, you know, your routine. And again, that's where I talk about focus on the business more than a share, especially when it comes to a share portfolio. You know who you are, always let your head rule over your heart. And this is the habits is more the routine I do daily. I read, as I say, the newspaper. I go look at my charts. I go into Viewpoint Premium. I use Viewpoint Premium. I look at my charts. I look at my top 40 stocks. I look at the trends. I look at what happened yesterday. And then obviously reading the newspaper, why the market did it, why that share did it. I look at things like the indices, where the market is. You know, are we in a long-term bull market, a long-term bear market? the best source of information is the company's financial statements, and that's how you start looking at different financial ratios, and that's what it's all about, and that's what I talk about at investment process, and that's what I really enjoy. So guys, just I know I'm going very fast here, I'm running out of time, but top 10 financial goals, and the whole idea, as I mentioned just now, it's just to help you focus and for motivation. So goals gives you a certain direction, and gives you opportunity to create financial plans, and laying your financial objectives enables you to work out roughly how much money you would need. And that, you know, there are tools on our website called calculators, gives you that goal to achieve, but also to help you to start sharing your goals with family and friends, or especially your family, and gives you that extra support, and also that I call it, peer, that pressure, especially when you're working together towards a common goal, and also helps you to track your goals. So these are just common top 10 financial goals for a lot of people. Review and update your financial plan. If you haven't got one, create one. I really recommend that, and sit down with a financial advisor. You know, be realistic about your goals. Review your plan quarterly or at least annually. A lot of us do have financial advisors. We only see them once a year, but maybe do it on a more quarterly basis for yourself. Make changes as your life circumstances change. A few webinars ago, we spoke about the importance of having a budget. I'm amazed how many people don't use a budget. You know, we go blindly with our finances, and we hope that we have enough money to do things. One of the things I learned last year, and I think a lot of people must apply this, is pay yourself first. You worked hard for your money. Now take 10% of your money and invest that money for yourself, for your future. Okay, that's all part of your budget. Increase your retirement savings. Now, I want to focus some time on that, because obviously, as I mentioned just now, we're in tax season right now. If you're currently saving for retirement, consider where you need to increase the amount you dedicate to that goal every year. So it also depends on how much money you want to have when you want to retire one day. Again, there's a retirement calculator that you can use on our website. So, you know, PSG Wealth, we have a retirement annuity. It's a savings vehicle that provides you with tax-efficient way to save for retirement. So all your contributions are tax deductible, all contributions up to 27.5% of your remuneration, with obviously limited to 350,000 a year. That can be used as a tax deduction. And I think all of us can get a tax deduction. Okay, I think all of us need it right now. So the whole idea here is that or any growth in that retirement annuity, there's no tax on interest, there's no tax on dividends, there's no tax on capital gains, while it's in that investment vehicle. So that's the great thing about it. Okay. So the idea here also is that we're talking about retirement savings. I also linked it very closely. I would suggest maybe looking at the tax-free investment plan, especially if you maxed out that 27.5%. Look at a tax-free investment plan as a nice way to complement your retirement savings. You can put up 36,000 Rand a year at this point in time, maximum lifetime contribution of 500,000. But the idea is that if you take that 36,000 or that 500,000 divided by 36,000, it's roughly about 12 years, 12, 13 years to take you to get to that stage. So the idea is that before touching your retirement annuity and converting to a living annuity, use that money first to pay off debt and things like that. Remember, it's all that growth is tax-free. Okay, so important. So yeah, I wanted to highlight it for you. We are, as I say, tax-free. You got until February, until the end of February next month to max it out to take advantage of tax savings this year. If you haven't got an emergency fund, something also I would really highly recommend you have. And as I would say, something unknown that happens, that you first dip into your emergency fund before you take into any, the worst case scenario you do not want to be doing is going into debt, maximizing your credit card and things like that. Paying off debt, especially your credit cards, especially right now with rising interest rates, you don't have any high interest debt right now. Squash it as soon as you can. Okay. Set a major goal. We've talked about it already. Be it a house, a car, overseas trip. Have it as a goal. And by the way, you can label your VIP or voluntary investment plan as an emergency fund, or as a holiday fund, or as a car fund, whatever the case might be. That makes it a bit more tangible. It's a nice way to go for it. Okay, and then start investing. That's what direct shares. That's if you've got all those other more passive investments in place. There's more active investment. Obviously, a bit more riskier, higher risk, higher returns. But this is also when it comes to education. Okay, and then for some of us want to pay off your home loan early. You save a lot on interest bills. Just be careful of those early settlement penalties. And then something that's also coming up very often nowadays is this what we call FIRE. It's an acronym for financial independence, retire early. Some of you might have heard about this thing before. I came across it with Just One Leap. Simon Brown mentioned it. Quite interesting, and they talk about it's a lifestyle movement. And the whole idea here, as I said, is it's just retirement is not dependent on age anymore, but it requires a measurable amount of liquid assets to enable early retirement. And there's a whole movement where the idea here is they maximize their savings rate by finding ways to increase their income or decrease the expenses. This minimalist lifestyle, but also with aggressive investments that increase their wealth and or income. So it's quite interesting that there. So the idea is to accumulate assets with resulting passive income. And that's what it was all about. So it's quite easy. It's quite interesting. Choice is yours, but I just imagine the freedom you have of that. And talking about freedom, I believe also, I think it should be all of us goals to achieve financial independence. I always talk about financial independence as we are debt free. You owe nothing to the banks. And we go one step further where we have financial freedom. That's where you're living off your whole lot of different multiple income streams. Okay, so those are some of the goals I just wanted to highlight for you that you might want to consider this year. So quickly, my final thoughts for the day. Goal setting can be tricky. It's easy to set too many goals, but the whole idea is that any progress that we make towards a goal counts as progress. There's that saying, rather have progress than perfection. So even if you meant to save 500,000 Rand and managed to succeed in saving 20,000, it's 20,000 that we would not have had. Okay, so hopefully this has just motivated you a bit more, some ideas for you guys. As mentioned just now, that decision to do something, I suggest get educated, especially on financial literacy. And bottom line, I believe it doesn't matter if you're an investor or a trader, you want to minimize risk and maximize your returns. Okay. And then one thing you do not want to be doing, especially in this climate now, where there's a lot more talk about recession this year, do not sell your investments in a panic. Go get a second opinion. Go get a financial advisor. Give you that peace of mind. Okay. So as I mentioned, these goals, as I say, is just to give you some ideas and some motivation. And then lastly, I just want to highlight for you again, how much cash do you still need? How much knowledge do you need to acquire? How much more actions do you need to implement? How many skills do you need to acquire? And what habits do you need to, or routines do you need to put in place? Okay, so before we tackle any questions here, let me just see if there's questions. Cool, let me just bring this up. Sorry, we just maximize this. Can't see it. Stephanie, yeah, obviously be sending you the recording of the webinar at a later stage. Poila, as a government employee on early 40, who start investing, how early retire? How will early retirement be beneficial to me? Depends how much you got saved up. That's number one, and obviously, as I say, it's that savings enough to give you to meet your expenses on a monthly basis. I think that's what we need to look at. But I think so just go Google FIRE. Financial independence, retire early, and go see the strategies these guys have if you're only 49 and you want to retire early. Okay, I hope that helps you some of the questions. Let me see. There's a question from Johan. How do I register for a retirement annuity and a tax-free? Good question, Jan. Best thing to do is go onto the website, psg.co.za. Along the top, you'll see there's a tab called Save and Invest. Click on that, and then go look for the investment product. And within that investment product will be a link to a registration. Alternatively, I can also email you the link to register and things like that. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Corin wants to know, what is the minimum monthly contribution for a VIP? You can start as low as 500 Rand per month, debit order, or 20,000 Rand lump sum. That also applies to all the other products we have, be it a retirement annuity or a tax-free, etc. Okay, we don't have a debit order facility on shares. We don't have a minimum investment, but you need to consider the trading costs. And again, I've learned over the years, direct share trading is not for everyone. I suggest you need at least 100,000 Rand there to make it viable, because you're going to spend 20,000 Rand, your cost is about 1% on 5 different stocks. You pull up a diversified portfolio from there. So it's not for everybody. And with offshore gain, we'll see a minimum of 100,000 converted into dollars, is about 6,000. Less than that, I won't say it's viable. Okay. So I hope that answers your guys' questions. Cool. In conclusion, as I say, these are the links to all those different key information documents. If I highlight it, you can see the links there. Well, supposed to come up. But anyway, you'll find it on our website. Okay. And as I say, there's a link to there's a goals calculator, there's an education calculator, and there's a retirement calculator. Go play around with those numbers. Gives you something to work towards. Those of you that are looking for a financial advisor on our website, you can find click on that link there, take you to that financial advisor that will be closest to you. As I say, from our side, this webinar is being recorded. I will be sending it out hopefully by tomorrow or the latest by Friday. Guys, thank you very much for being on this webinar. I hope you've learned something. I hope it motivated you. Any questions you have, you're welcome to drop me an email at wealth@psg.co.za. You can also give me a call on what we call a live stream, 0860 000 368. So from my side, thank you very much for being on this webinar. Enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy the rest of your pleasure, Grant. Okay, hope you enjoyed it. Guys, all the best. Until next time, bye for now.